Woo! Welcome back to WOOK Plus. I'm Weekend WOOK, joined by Kev the Great Went. We got a show to talk about tonight. It is certainly a show.
It's exciting.
It's a show. It is. It was. Listen, was it the best fish show ever? No. Was it as bad as everyone that knew what show we were listening to seemed to imply? I don't think so. The hate that this show got online and the comments and on Twitter and even my brother, I was talking to him and he was like, "That show sucks." I was like,
Well,
"Everybody says the same thing." Scoot,
well,
Scoot hating on it.
we need context.
Yeah.
They did what? 3 shows
Well, let's say the
before
date
summer tour
first.
started.
We always imply we always assume everybody knows, but it's
Right.
4/16/04,
Right.
spring, right before the end in
Right.
Vegas, out at Thomas and Mack. Okay, go
And
ahead.
it wasn't a tour. It was 3 shows, 3 off. They hadn't played for 3 months. They did these 3 shows. They didn't play for another 2 months, and the band was falling apart. It was, 100 miles an hour, and the wheels were just coming off, and we were watching it in real time. But beyond that, there are so many things I loved about this show, so I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, I agree. I think my overall take is that if you can isolate the voice and the vocals out of the equation, which you can, right? That's a huge part of it. But if you take that voice part out and the way Trey sounded, the playing was pretty okay. Like it was decent. And there were some decent jams that happened throughout the night. Now, unfortunately, the voice was just Trey's voice was super fucked up the entire time. And it made it really hard to listen to a lot of it. Yeah, I agree, Sewell. But okay, let's get into it. Kicking things off with the 2.0 classic, one of my favorite 2.0 songs, probably. It's up there, I think, with Pebbles and Undermine. But I really like this song. It started rough as shit, Kev. Oh my god. I was like, whoa, now I get what everybody's talking about. But it eventually settled in. And I mean, it wasn't a super long version, but it had a little bit of meat to it. And once it locked in, I thought it was a nice little jam for it, but it sounded like a cover band in the beginning was how off it was. It sounded like a
I,
band covering Fish.
I wish they had started with rock and roll through the
Yeah.
7 Below, maybe at the end of the set
Or
after
in
they
the middle
warmed
once
up.
they were warmed up. Yeah, exactly. It was cold, and I feel like that wasn't a great song to start off with. That's a good
No,
take. The
yeah,
rock and
bad
roll, on the
choice.
other hand, was really locked in. And I thought was a good way to get things rolling. I agree with you. I think that would have been a better opener for sure.
And the guitar. Now let's talk about the guitar. It was very
Okay.
angry. It seems like this is angry Trey. It seems like this is Trey forgetting where he was because rock and roll just kind of. It was like, what song were we playing? Oh, let's move on to the next one. I didn't feel like there was any guidance from the helm of the ship going on
Yeah.
there.
No, he definitely felt lost, but he also wasn't oblivious though. It's weird, right? Because like I was listening to his playing and like the little subtleties, like a feeling in the groove and stuff. Like you could tell he was still like Trey. Like he wasn't so removed that it wasn't Trey, but compared to who we know him to be, right? That's where you
Yeah.
see the departure. I thought you were
And
going to talk about the tone though. Some of the guitar tone in this when he was when he was on point sounded pretty good. I liked the tone of that. You don't hear that tone that much anymore.
I wonder what kind of gear changes he had between '03 and '04 because I don't remember '03 sounding this aggressive, angry, dirty. Maybe dirty's a better word. I don't want to go with aggressive and angry, but there was a punk thing to it. It was,
Yeah. I don't know. We could look into that. I'm wondering if positioning had anything to do with it too, because with the Koas, it's like his movement affects the tone so much, and I feel like at least from what I can remember and looking back at like his state of mind, maybe wasn't moving the same way. But
right.
I don't know.
I don't feel like the reggae woman was it was okay, but it seemed like almost an afterthought, like, oh, well, let's do this, as
Yeah.
opposed to a destination where they were headed.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little off. But from after that though, it's I think things picked up quite a bit. I thought that back on the train, And I don't know if I would say it was a good segue into Possum, but it was interesting,
They
right?
were playing. They went from Back on the Train playing Possum, but then they had to change key, and that's where the little weird thing happened. But
But that was still good. I
it was
liked it.
fantastic. I loved it. They
It
were
sounded like tight and rehearsed. I dug this middle part of the set. The Back on the Train Possum, whether it was you would say perfectly executed or not, I really dug that segue and that this part of the set.
solid. It was solid. They were warmed up. So
Yeah.
we, if if like I said, they had to move the song, boom, we would have had two great little runs there, and then
See what I was
okay,
saying with the equipment and the tube
the tube
screamers.
screamers. That sounds like a little punk. I
We
can
got to
get with
get
the tube screamer.
Trey's guitar rig back on. That guy
Yeah,
knew all sorts of shit too.
all right. We could pick
Um,
his brain.
yeah.
Strange Design. There's your slow song. I know people love it, and Paige cried and yada yada, but never really did it for me.
That's a song that I know I'm supposed to like, I guess.
Right, right.
And I want to. I don't want to go against the grain on it. Like I want to be that PHiSH fan that loves that song and be like, oh man, I caught Strange Design again, but I'm not there either on it. I don't think. I mean, I respect all respect.
Yeah.
If you're one of those people out there that are digging it, I respect that. I
Love
love that
to
for
you.
you.
Yeah,
I love that for you.
The gumbo was respectable, and I felt
Yeah.
like Paige led it. He pushed the keyboard part in the jam a little bit
And
further.
PHiSH, Paige and PHiSH were really locked in, and they had that groove set up. This is a perfect example, and I'm not going to keep saying the same point over and over again because it applies many times this show. But this was an example where if you could remove the vocals and just listen to the playing, it was actually a good version. The singing completely fucked it up. Like it was just destroyed.
Was it
But
that bad?
yeah, it
Was it really
was.
that bad? Okay.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It was bad.
Okay.
There was no redeeming singing in this night. Not one song. No, that's not true. Mike singing in what was that? In Possum. I was like, "Hey, Mike, you're not the worst singer tonight."
All right. Stepping up.
Yeah, but no, I really did like the gumbo, and I don't focus on vocals too often either. Anyway, so like I think I could live with that gumbo. I dug it.
There you go.
Yeah,
I
Good
like
job,
Brian and Robert.
Yeah.
But the vocals, I guess, that's a song you shouldn't choose at this point.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
relies
it's weird.
heavily on the vocal.
Why did they choose these songs? They didn't. They weren't like, oh, Trish's voice is fucked up. Maybe we'll just play like, Yem and fucking like they ended up doing Hood, but like they have a fuck ton of songs that are just super long instrumentals. Bowie, right? Or like Antelope. Like, why you don't need to do fucking Brian and Robert? Like, really? What the fuck?
A gentle, delicate song that requires a voice in good form. Yes,
that song is a sad song to begin with, but in the context of this show and what we knew about where Trey's mind was in the band, plus the voice being gone, it was extra sad, right? It was almost hard to listen to it. Like this was the part where I remembered how I was like, all right, I don't know.
I can understand what people were saying, but the parts of this show for me, this first set so far, we'll get to the taste in a second, but the Back on the Train of the Possum and the Gumbo, the rock and roll were all good. I love the reckless abandon of it. You can hear them falling apart. Yeah. You can hear it in real time. The band is falling apart, and it's beautiful to me. It's like I just really, I don't know. I leaned into it.
You know what it kind of reminded me of, and this is going to be like maybe a bad take, but it felt very similar to like 92 sound wise, right? The only difference was in my mind and from my perspective was like, if you ever had that like friend that would always get super fucked up when you first meet and it's fun and he's the party guy, but then like you're like friends for like 10 years and like you're older and like you're moving on and then he's still like getting fucked and you're like, come on, man. Like, it felt like if they were still like young and like in college doing this, it would be like, oh yeah. But like at this point in the career, after Big Cypress, after all the festivals, after everything they did, to kind of go back to that, it was like,
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
they all had kids that were middle school, older elementary, middle school at this point. But I
yeah,
totally know that guy.
yeah, you are that guy. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
I have the kids, but you know what the beautiful thing is? My kids are old enough now. I can be that guy
I
again.
was gonna say you're becoming that guy again, and I love it. I'm happy for you. We all deserve to become that guy at least one more time in our
One
lives.
more time, right? Oh man. So taste, what did you make of this?
It was an odd set closer. I like the song. I thought it actually towards the end of it built up enough because through it I was like, how are they going to end a set? Like I knew because I knew the set. I was like, so I knew it was the end of the set, but it didn't feel like a set closer. I thought it was a super odd choice. It kind of got there. I think it was overall a weak way to end the set, but I didn't absolutely hate it. It was just kind of like meh, you
Right.
know.
It makes me listening to the taste makes me think that the stuff that I really love from this beyond the gumbo, because that's I guess a little more complicated, were all straightforward riffs.
Yeah,
And that's where Trey was hitting his stride with this, not trying to do anything complicated. Let's not overthink it. Let's not get proggy.
right.
Let's rock and roll. Let's just play 3 chords and just let it go for 10 minutes.
Can you imagine getting a Brian and Robert in to taste to close a set now? Like,
Oh,
I feel like
everybody be,
people they be melting out their fucking mind. Like, oh, but
dude, the greatest thing ever. And then we'd be on here saying, man, if they only had it done a Susie or something to really rock out.
so this is cool. Let's hold on. I'm about to go right into the second set. We're flying through this show.
God help us. Well, we don't have
Yeah.
tea here.
No, it's okay. This is good. It's fun. We got the holiday party tomorrow night at 9:00. So if you guys are around, come stop by. That'll be a lot of fun. A couple of
If you
things we've
miss,
had. What's that?
I was gonna say if you missed the first WOOK Plus office party, T ended up naked by the end of it. So
Yeah. Well, he had antlers, reindeer antlers on
yeah,
him, so
yeah,
he
he
was,
did it.
and a red nose, so he wasn't completely naked. Uh, yeah, and also if you haven't been around on the channel the last week, everybody's busy, holidays and stuff. We've had a bunch of cool shit go up. Last week we had the long gig, right, where we were the idea was we were gonna go until everybody disappeared, but like 20 of you fuckers were hanging out with us at like 2 a.m. So we were like, all right, I guess this is gonna happen. But that was cool. A really fun conversation with Benji and with Andy and Ben. So go and check that out. Also this past Sunday we had a fun conversation with Ashley from Groove Safe. That was a really cool show. She's awesome. Check that out. And then if you want to commiserate with us, we recorded our attempt to get Sphere tickets. And I'm not gonna spoil it for you.
Who's this way? Your attempt
Well,
to get Sphere tickets. I just was
my
along for the
attempt.
ride.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
let me give everybody a tip out there. The $3,000 you were going to spend on the Sphere, get yourself in a 6-month CD. They're like 5.5% right now. Take it out in 6 months and buy your tickets for the Sphere then.
Yeah, nobody's gonna do that, but they should. Sound advice. Oh, and then last plug. Sorry, no, there's a lot of plugs tonight. We've been busy. Um, the New Year's run. So Wednesday night, the night before the run, we're gonna have a preview New Year's Eve spectacular type of lot show, and then every night during set break, we're gonna have a members hang. So join if you haven't yet, and then 15 minutes after encore, full recaps of every show. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I tell you what, on that 27 show, if you have any questions for your pick 5 for PHiSH's Madison Square Garden run,
Goddamn.
bring them to the show, throw them up on chat, and I'm going to give you your sit start advice for the
Oh,
pick
now you're
5
leaning into the fantasy. Before it was like a guy's thing. So if you guys don't know, Kev plays fantasy football and watches a lot of fantasy football YouTube and is desperately trying to make WOOK Plus the fantasy football version for PHiSH. But no, yeah,
But
people you can bring your
so
sick
much,
questions.
right? There's so much crossover, though, isn't there? Between the sports metaphors we always use, it's
All
the
right.
first frame, kind of thing people say.
I'm all
Batting
about it. Let's
average.
do it. Let's go for it.
So bring
Let's
your
go.
questions, everybody. All
All
right,
right.
second set. Now I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
I love
yeah.
this second set. I really
I do
do.
too.
It was fun. Fun, fun, fun.
I do too. I do too. You know what's weird? Everybody instantly, almost everybody, was like the ultimate twist, the best twist ever. Everything's about this twist, and maybe it was the expectations or whatever. But I liked the jam in Jaboo better than twist. I went into it and I was like, oh, okay, it was an okay twist. Like it was decent twist, but I don't even think it was the best jam of the night. I don't
No,
know. It
what
was a really cool jam, but I
I
really
do not
liked the
think it
jam in Jaboo.
I do not think it was the best twist.
No,
But
I don't either.
the Jabil, fantastic opener. Um just that they leaned into it. Again, it's a simple song. You look at this set list until you get towards Waves in the end, it's simple. It's all stuff that's simple, and I feel
Well,
like that was Trey's wheelhouse at the
simple.
moment.
None of us can do it, but
Well, none of us can, but for them, I mean, it was
yeah.
Trey's wheelhouse at the moment. Just rock with it. It was Sid Vicious Trey. Just I'm gonna roll with it.
This was one of those songs though that I felt like Trey was still there and understood the assignment, even though he was like fucked up. Because there's a certain feel, like a touch to Jaboo that makes it work, where it's swung, but not like jazz swung, like it's just subtly swung on the 16th, and the whole band was very much locked in with that. And I feel like when you hear artists, not even talking about Fish specifically, just from my experience of like playing with musicians, the more fucked up they get, that's the thing that goes a lot of times, right? Is you lose and your swing gets straight or your straight gets swung, and you lose the
Mm.
touch. And I felt like even though he had no voice at all and sounded like shit, he still had the touch. He was making bad decisions. His voice sounded like crap, but he still had that feel in the song. So I don't know. I feel like maybe we, in hindsight, make it feel worse than it might have been, right? We
Right.
assign a whole narrative to it.
Did you, we as in the royal we, listen to either the night before, if his voice was any better?
I didn't. No.
I wonder that, and I wonder how it was the next night.
Well, he didn't discover tea at this point because his voice got fucked
Right.
up this year, but he had that magic
Right.
tea. I don't know.
I don't know. All
I
right,
don't
the
know.
twist. 24 minutes. I mean, back then, over 20 minutes was something that everyone was on the payphone about after the show, you know?
Yeah. It was good. Yeah, and it was good. It was fun. I feel like I wanted to be hyped up more about it. And again, it might be
Yeah,
expectations, but like,
it is. We got let down because everyone said the whole show was poopy except that. And that was probably, it was good. It really was. It's probably a top 5, top 7, maybe twist, but
yeah.
it wasn't. I walked away from it when they went into Camel Walk and the rest of it. And I was like, that's really fun.
Well, you know what I didn't love about it, if we're gonna be critical, it's weird because everybody else was like, the opposite. But I'm like, we're singing the praise about everything else, and now I'm gonna be critical about Twist because I'm an asshole. But uh it lost the Twist groove. Like it went type 2, but it went into a straight, like standard spacey straight type 2. Like, you know what I mean? Like it
Mhm.
was the wrong direction. They took something that was an interesting song and then they jammed it too simple. I would
Generic.
rather they could take a simple song and then take it into an interesting jam, but they took a really interesting song and brought it into a kind of vanilla jam. Now it was a very tasty, yeah, it was an oxy jam. See, well, exactly, which is cool and sometimes in the mood for that. But it was weird coming out of Twist because Twist, you wouldn't set up an oxy jam like that, right?
Mhm.
But it did. So the fuck do I know?
Right? Can I diverge before we go into the
Yeah,
next
you can do
song? Or
whatever you want, man.
I listened to the Split Open and Melt from Coventry because I was going through re-listening, looking at other stuff, listening to it, and I saw it was over 30 minutes, and I listened to it, and I thought it was one of the most brilliant things they ever did. There was a second they got to the end of Split Open and Melt and went back out for another 20 minutes and then never even went back to it. Ended up in whatever song was after it. But I was like, as bad as Coventry was, that was so fantastic. So I'm going to take a look back over 2.0, try to find the gems, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about this this WOOK Club thing too. Like this is definitely we talked about the other shows. Oh, I probably wouldn't have listened to those. Who knows? I may have, but this is a song I definitely would not have gone back and listened to. I almost didn't want to do it even when we had it here. I was like, oh man, really? But I'm glad we did. Camel Walk sounded okay. Mike, I think, was starting to get frustrated. There was almost a little more aggression in his playing at this point.
It got punk. It was the
Yeah,
most punk
it got
rock I
super.
ever heard it. It was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
He was really hammering down and punking it up, and vocals sucked, but the groove was decent. The Wilson, the end of it was cool, but then they limped into Wilson, right? Like I liked the rhythmic ending of it, but I wish they like hammered down onto the entrance to Wilson because they were there. They hit the right notes. They just kind of like
fudged it.
They limped in. It was like, eh.
Yeah. But it was great. Wilson was fun, and I mean, Wilson is what it is. But the little drummer boy thing, I was like, that's so weird, but they totally all fell into it, and it's one of those things again where I don't think it was planned, and that's my favorite
I don't
PHiSH.
think so either.
That's my favorite PHiSH when they end up in Little Drummer Boy in April in Vegas.
Right. I love that. I love that that tease or whatever you want to call it, that interlude. So
it was
much.
A good minute and a half. I mean, I think they all knocked in on it, and I think maybe it was Trey being like, "You're up next."
Mm-hmm. Well, it's when the set gets a little bit silly, right? I feel like there was like they're paying homage back to the early days. They're like, hey, mid-second set, we're gonna get, shit's gonna get weird. And it's certain enough. Hold your head up. Everybody knows what's coming.
You don't know what's coming, but
well, you don't know what's coming, but you know to expect the unexpected, right? Like that instantly, you're like, there's an excitement that goes through the crowd when you hear that. I couldn't fully understand. I was trying to look up pictures what the musical suit looked like, but it was yeah, I guess it's like a washboard type suit. It sounded like it was some sort of suit that he was playing. It sounded
his washboard. Yeah. He has the and it has like it goes over your shoulders, comes down, and
it was cool. Had it on backwards.
Love
really
You fun.
Yeah, really like that. PHiSH sounded fucking great. Oh, it's just tape. Yeah.
Basically tape on a drum. Nice.
Okay, so this whole recap is just us assigning narratives that we don't know to music that we all,
making shit up.
But like that was not that far out there compared to any other crazy shenanigans that they did, but in the context of 2.0 and 04 and Oxytray and everything, there was like almost like a sadness, like or an awkward tone to it. But like if he had done that, they did that shit in like 93, 94, everybody like lose their fucking mind. It was like so funny, but then like it was just, I don't know, it didn't. It feels.
It didn't hit right for you.
Yeah, it didn't hit right, but that's all in hindsight. It's weird. Anyway,
this is probably my weakest point in the set next, so you can run off with it.
All right. Waves sounded pretty good. It was an odd choice, but I get it at this point in, when it came out. I actually think it sounded pretty decent, though.
It was a new tune at the time?
Yeah, fairly new.
Was it on the 2004 album and not the 2003? Was it on Underbinder?
It debuted in 02.
Okay, so it was on Round Room originally.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it had been around. It had been kicking around for a while. It just didn't sound very good to me. Like I've heard every other version I've ever heard was probably better than that one.
Well, again, why play Waves? Like, why play these songs when your voice is fucked up? Like that, I feel like that's a song, and fucking Horse into Silent when you have no voice. Like these are all songs built on built up harmonies where the voice is like the most important instrument in the song, and he has no voice, and that's the set list they choose. Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty much downhill for the rest of the set. I didn't like any of these renditions. I thought Life Boy was sad. I thought the Horse in a Silent was okay, but I don't know.
Before we go downhill, let's look at that. I believe that in Mexico this year, Will, they did that Rolling Stones song that probably had never been
No, I
tested.
think he's talking about the music suit though, like the contraption,
Oh,
not
oh,
like a song.
oh, oh, my fault,
Because
Will.
because in the banter Trey was like, we didn't get a chance. Like Fish has been making this all day. We didn't get a chance to sound test it.
Oh, we never found a picture. Sorry, Will. I
Yeah.
thought you were talking about something else.
Yeah. The new sonic dress, a garment woven from cassette tapes that produce noise when touched, with special gloves akin to tape heads. That's the description on .net. It was the
Oh,
sonic dress.
that's
Uh,
weird. Have any of you out there, Will? Anybody ever heard of this Sonic dress before?
well, we all did if we listened to the show.
Well,
But
I
no,
probably
I hadn't heard it before I listened to this show.
I probably skipped over the banter and the first hold your head up and jumped right to love
Well,
you
there was
because
that was the problem though, was it took a while to get out there. He had it on backwards. It was like an awkward
he had it all
pause.
backwards.
Right. And like that's what I meant. Like if this was 92, 93, it would all be part of the shtick and like it'd be fun and be in a club, but like in Vegas in '04, it just seemed kind of like cringy. Like didn't, it's just
Right,
funny how like the change in setting and period can change how you perceive those things.
right. I liked Lifeboy. I did
You
not like
did.
I
I
did
did
not like
not.
I did not like it sandwiched between Waves and the Horse, but
I did
I
not
thought
like your
that
eggs and ham.
if I had to remove Waves or Lifeboy, I would dump Waves and have left the Lifeboy there. I think it was strong. I felt like it was the playing again. I mean, we're gonna have to throw the vocals out the window, but I
Right.
feel like the
Oh,
playing
with
and
these songs, you throwing the vocals out is a big deal. Gumbo throwing the vocals out, it's not a big deal because it's a cool fucking song. But these songs, you can't, you know. I sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
no, you're right. And the Horse, why didn't we just go into Silent in the Morning? But I
Yeah.
guess at that point they had never split them up.
Yeah. No, it wasn't
No, no,
it
we
wasn't
loved
all
it.
bad. We liked the rock and roll, we liked the train possum, we liked the gumbo if you ignored the vocals, and the Jaboo jam was good, and the twist jam was good. Everything else was shit though.
I loved the camel walk because it
Yeah.
was just angry and falling apart.
Right. And
So
Mike was frustrated.
Silent in the Morning is one of the best standalone Fish lines ever with this thing happened to me just last year. I
Yeah.
do not know why Silent in the Morning doesn't show up every 5 shows. It is just it would be a crowd killer every time.
Yeah. I don't know. I like all of these songs in modern versions, and I like even, historically, I just don't like the order, and I'm not going to play the game of set list repair because honestly, it's so far fucked up. I don't know what I could do to make this set list better.
Loving Cup was a good choice.
Eh, I guess.
Or should it have been Hood and then the Cup in the encore?
Yeah. It should have been Hood and then Cup in the encore. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it does seem like after Twist they abandoned the second set stuff. Really, it is a very strange choices from Camel Walk through to Loving Cup. When you look at, like, you think a Tweezer's going to show up, or one of these heftier songs, I guess, but they threw it all into Twist and said, let's do nothing over 8 minutes for the rest
Yeah.
of the night until the encore, and then we'll throw out another 20-minute tune for you.
Well, I feel like maybe they were like, we got to make this up to everybody. Anyway, I
For
don't
the
know. I
talk.
don't feel like being hyper negative anymore.
These
Oh,
these shows were all very long too. They were all like 3-hour shows.
yeah, that
I
second
think.
set was an hour and a half. The first set
Mhm.
was an hour, what, 15?
And the 20-minute encore, yeah.
Yeah, a 20-minute encore. I'd probably never go back to this show, but I'm grateful that we had this experience.
Mhm.
No,
we haven't been that negative because I like punk rock Trey. I will take punk rock Trey. It's good stuff.
Yeah. And I feel like I've curbed it since listening to it because I feel like the good moments stick out more than the bad moments. While I'm listening to it, there were tons of moments where I was like, You know what it's like? It's like you hope nobody's too close to your car, right? Because I was listening to the car and I was like, it was embarrassing. This was embarrassing fish. This is not the fish you would show people, like at points. So there were plenty of times that I was like, oh, that was really rough. But then, the rock and roll, the train into possum, the Jaboo Jam, those were good enough. And that's what sticks with me after the fact. So that's why I don't think we're being too negative, is
Right.
because there was a lot of good in there.
I'm wondering if you take all 3 nights of Vegas, you make one really stellar show out of it.
I bet you could. Yeah, I bet you could. That's not good, though. That's not a great batting average.
Yeah, apparently 2.0 hoods were a thing, Will, that I did not know about. I saw 3 shows in February of 2003, and I probably didn't listen to PHiSH again for another 3 or 4 years after that.
Yeah. This was
because I had a kid. I had a kid, so that was part. It wasn't that I hated PHiSH, but I had a kid, so you got to do that thing.
These were the 03 and 04 were the years that I was like first drank the Kool-Aid and was like, I didn't go to a bunch of shows because I was young and poor, but like this was when I started listening to all the recordings and got really, really into it. And it was awesome because it set the bar pretty low. Right?
Yeah, when you walked in.
Yeah, that's why I think I have such an affinity for Seven Below. Why it's just one of my favorite songs.
You know, the first time I ever caught one was with you at Dick's last year.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
It was. I didn't expect it. There was another weird. Why are they doing Seven Below at Dick's in August or September, whatever it was?
Yeah, I love that song. All right. So now we got to do some brainstorming or figuring out, because I don't remember how we were going to do this, but the idea is next week for the WOOK Club, which is the last WOOK Club of the year, and it's the day after Christmas. We wanted to do a dead show. Do we have a show in mind, Kev?
No, because you didn't like how I was trying to pick it.
Yeah, but you still could have done it.
Why don't we go with? Are you going to listen to it with me?
Yeah, let's fucking whatever show you pick, I'm going to listen to.
Let's go with 12/1/79, Stanley Theater, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
All right. Fuck it. Right? Is everyone cool with that?
We'll post it on the socials.
Well, hold on. I'm going to look it up now because otherwise I'll forget. What is it? It's
12/1/79, Stanley Theater. Early Brent, yes, Will. It's one of my absolute favorite shows and something that I would look forward to listening to again. It was one of my car tapes. I used to have tapes that never left the car. That was one of the tapes. The second set was always in my car.
Well, polarizing is good came to play. That's why that's what we go for. Can see that? No, not really.
Oh, wait. Let me see. Oh, yes, that's the one. Yep.
All right. Fuck yeah.
It's not to be slept on. It fall 79.
Well, Skunky, I've never heard this one. I know. I was, but we didn't plan this out. Whatever. It'll be fun.
But there's not. I've listened to a lot of dead shows.
There are no dead shows that Kev hasn't listened.
No, I'm sure there are plenty, but when I was younger, I mean, I tell you what, Skunky, in my basement, I have 500 Grateful Dead tapes and boxes, just rusting away.
Man, I'm pretty excited about this. This is gonna be a good one.
Thank you, SC. Thank you. All right, cool. And then we'll have tea back, and then we got all kinds of stuff in Sunday. Sunday morning we'll be around. We're just gonna be here, hanging out.
Yeah. I just bought a Steam Deck. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's like a handheld video game. So I may not make it Sunday. I might be up all night. It arrives Thursday. I'm so fucking excited.
We'll see what happens. And make sure you tune in tomorrow because there may be some tea being spilled.
Oh yeah. Wait, which tea?
I spoke with Joel and Ryan from Humphreys today.
Oh yeah. I don't think we're starting tea.
Oh no, we're getting busted.
Yeah. That's all right. All right, thanks guys.
We're getting busted.
All right, I don't want to hear you sing, so I'll turn that off and put on the traditional. fucking last thing I want to do is have you sing us out. All right, thanks guys. We'll talk to you next time. See ya.